SMMA Outreach. The majority of new agency owners do this completely wrong. They get comfortable with one outreach strategy and then they just rinse and repeat. But I'm here to tell you it simply doesn't work like that. At least when you're first getting started. If you've just launched an agency and you're following one outreach strategy, you're undoubtedly missing out on hundreds of potential customers. And I can say that as an agency owner making over 6 figures a month and being responsible for hundreds of other successful agencies from all corners of the globe. So trust me when I say this. When you're first starting your agency, you need to follow a multi-platform strategy. And I know I talk about this all the time on this channel, but I keep seeing new start agency owners making this mistake again and again. And to be honest with you guys, I'm actually getting quite bored of it. So here's an example within your personal life. We all have friends who don't pick up the phone. We've all got a friend that doesn't use WhatsApp. We've all got a friend that isn't on social media. And it's exactly the same for business owners. We cannot presume that every business owner out there is going to respond to one platform in the same way. And so if we are just emailing businesses and we've got a list of 100 companies we want to reach out to, there might only be 25% or 30% or 40% of those business owners that actually read their emails and respond to them actively. So if we're not hitting them from another angle, we're missing out on a huge proportion of our leads when we're first starting out. And this is very, very important when we are starting locally and our lead list is limited. So in this video today, I'm going to be giving you a list of multiple outreach strategies that you can use to squeeze a yes or a no out of every single lead on your list. But before we get into that, I want to mention an ongoing competition we have on this channel. And all you need to do to enter is just comment down below underneath this video within 24 hours of it being uploaded. Now, one person out of all the comments within 24 hours of upload will get the chance to win a completely free hour-long coaching call with me, where I'm going to personally help you build a roadmap to your first or your next $10,000 online based on your current position. Now, I don't do coaching calls anymore. I charge thousands for them when I do say yes. So this is a great opportunity to work with me one-on-one and help you make your first or next $10,000. So drop a comment below if you want to enter that ongoing competition, and make sure you have your notification bell turned on so you can enter that competition on all future uploads and you don't miss out. So back to the video. Now I'm going to structure this video today a little bit differently from when I've gone through outreach videos in the past. What I'm not going to do is just give you a random list of an assortment of different outreach methods that I have never used before. Instead, what I'm going to do is highlight all the outreach methods that I have used in my agency, the Affluent Agency, past and present strategies, and successful and unsuccessful. And I'm going to highlight the reasons why they worked or didn't work, and I'm also going to give you a bunch of tips on each individual outreach strategy. Okay, so a lot of honesty here. Now, just because something didn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you, and I will highlight that as we proceed through this video. I want to start off today with cold email. And cold email is something that it's an age-old outreach strategy that so many businesses use from all corners of the world. And it's something that a lot of people get wrong. Cold email is something which is extremely effective. In fact, it is actually the #1 most effective outreach strategy, cold outreach strategy that we're using in our agency at the moment. But there are a few reasons why, and I do not think it would be the most effective outreach strategy for new start agencies. Now, the key to successful emails is personalization. Gone are the days where you can get a list of thousands of your potential customers and just copy and paste an email, mail merge it out to absolutely everybody. Now, that used to work, believe me, because I used to do it in an old sales job of mine, and I used to be able to get sales from a completely copy and pasted email script. But these days, it just does not work at all. People do not like feeling like a number. People do not like receiving spammy emails in their inbox. They are wise to it. And so we have to personalize every single email that we put out. We have to add a line of personalization at the start of the email. Mention a blog article on their website. Mention one of their products. Mention one of their stances on a world affair that they've mentioned on their website. Just say something that shows you have done your due diligence, that you have done your research. Earn the privilege for a response, okay? You cannot expect somebody to invest their time in responding to you if you're not even going to invest the time into researching their business. So we can still automate this using tools like Lemlist, using tools like GMATs. We can build a big list to send out in a merge, and we can add our personalizations to that list. In fact, if you want to check out a recent video I put out on email outreach, then there's a link in the description. Go watch that after this. Now, we're having an incredible amount of success with email outreach at the moment in our agency, the Affluent Agency. We have 2 full-time team members whose dedicated role is to be sending emails and also DMs to potential customers. Now, those emails are always hyper-personalized, and another reason why we're having a lot of success with them is because we are adding really great testimonials and case studies in that email as well, so people can see the results that we can get for them before they have even responded to us. That being said, when I first started my agency, I didn't really find emails to be an extremely effective strategy. I found them to be well-rounded, and I found them to be a great hook for when I actually cold called, right? When I actually called someone up and I said, hey, did you see the email I sent you? Or I said, they said, can you send me an email? I said, I actually sent you one the other day, right? It gave me good leverage in those kind of situations, but I didn't find I was actually setting an awful lot of meetings from emails alone until I was able to add maybe a screenshot of results that I was getting, and until I was hyper-personalizing my emails. I wasn't really personalizing them so much when I first started my agency. But they're a great place for you to begin, and they're a staple for any multi-platform strategy. I think that everybody should be adopting email, whether or not they are your top meeting setting outreach or not. I think that they're a part of a well-rounded outreach strategy for any agency owner. Now, one thing that you can do with emails, instead of just trying to probe someone for a meeting and reaching out to them, is you could use a LOOM strategy, okay, or a video audit strategy. Now, I've done this a few times in my agency. It's never something I've really gone to town with because I deemed it quite time expensive. But I know a lot of agency owners, including agencies inside the Affluent Academy. We teach this strategy inside of our private community. I know a lot of agencies have built multi-six-figure agencies through a LOOM email outreach strategy. Now, what this simply is where you reach out via email in the same way that anyone else would, but instead of requesting a meeting, you offer that person, you offer that potential client the opportunity to receive a completely free video audit from you. What you would then do is you would record this video on your computer, running through their social media, running through the service you provide, giving them a few hints and tips, an under 2-minute video, maximum 5 minutes, and you would simply request a meeting after that. So you're going to build some rapport, build some value first before you jump into the meeting, which in theory, it's going to allow you to set more meetings because you're building greater relationships. I personally think this is a great strategy for agencies that don't have existing case studies, that don't have existing testimonials, because it gives you the opportunity to warm up people before you have even spoken to them on the phone or face to face. So that is a LOOM-based strategy. So that is email marketing. Again, a staple to any multi-platform strategy, any agency's outreach strategy. Cool. Let's move on to cold calling, something that I just mentioned there. And I used to leverage email. Cold calling is something that runs through my blood, okay? Cold calling was my first taste of sales, right? When I had my first ever sales job, I moved into a cold calling center and I was making 100 cold calls a day to try and get hold of multi-million-dollar business owners, okay? Multi-million. Some of these businesses were multi-billion-dollar. I spoke to the CEO of Universal Studios from cold calling because I called up his PA that many times. I used to call up his PA every other day until I got on a call. And then he personally invited me out to Dubai to see Legoland being built. And I've done an interview with him. The information is actually on my LinkedIn, if you want to go check that out. Just an amazing experience through cold calling. But when I first started cold calling, I was absolutely terrified and I didn't understand how to cold call. And when I started my first ever cold calling job, it was the first time I've ever encountered a script. And I used to read this script like a robot and I never got any sales. I never got any meetings. It never really converted. Until a couple of weeks in, I decided to follow my roots as a child. And as a child, I used to do a lot of drama classes. As a child, I used to do acting at the theatre. And one of the key things I learned from doing drama is you need to learn your script as quickly as possible so you can become a good actor. Because once you know the words, then you can introduce tonality, then you can introduce body language, then you can introduce poise and confidence. And it's exactly the same with a cold call. So within my first 2 weeks, I learnt my script, maybe 3 weeks. I learnt my script entirely. I went home and I read it out line by line, okay, until I memorized it. And after that, I was able to introduce my own tonality. After that, I was able to put my own spin on it. After that, I understood the psychology behind what I was actually saying, and therefore I was a better performer on the phone. Now, there were people in that company that were there for years and years and years that were still holding a script in their hand, and they were still getting poor results. And the only difference between them and me, who built myself up to top 3 people in the company within 3 months, is the fact that I learnt my script and I was able to adapt it based on myself. So, where I'm getting to as an agency owner, the key to success as a cold caller is writing a script. Okay, and there's a bunch of resources on this channel where that can help you doing that. Or you can learn our exact script in the Affluent Academy. You can copy and paste that. The key is learning that script and then adapting it and introducing your body language, introducing your tonality, smiling through the phone, and remembering that you're only going to get better with time. Cold calling truly is a numbers game. You've heard that 1,000 times over, and you don't actually understand what that means until you start cold calling. Your first 5, 10, 20, maybe even 50 cold calls, they're really not going to be that great. But every time you get off that call, you're going to be improving and you're going to get better and better every single time. You're going to get more and more confidence behind what you're saying. You're going to understand the psychology behind what you are saying, and you're going to improve. I think cold calling is probably the most intimidating outreach method that any new agency owner could use, but it is the most vital to your growth as a person and as a business owner. If you can cold call confidently and you can speak to strangers and you can build enough confidence to create relationships to completely cold people through the phone, then you will be a better person within your meetings and you'll be a better person when you converse with your clients after you sign them up as well. So I think cold calling is a non-negotiable for new start agency owners. I truly do. And there's many of you watching this right now that'll be, I'm not going to cold call. And some of you will still be successful. But I truly believe the ones that do decide to cold call, that put themselves in that uncomfortable position, will ultimately be better business owners and better communicators down the line. Because communication is the single most important skill for anybody in a service-based business. So when you're first starting out, have cold calling. Cold call local businesses. Trust me on that one. Okay, what do we got? DMs, another staple. So cold calling, emails, and DMs. These are really the three staples of any outreach strategy. Now, DMs are very important, and DMs are something that a lot of people skip over when they're first starting because they think, okay, what platforms am I going to outreach on, and is my profile even suitable for me to be doing outreach? So you can outreach on Instagram, you can outreach on LinkedIn, you can outreach on Facebook. I would recommend Instagram or LinkedIn when you're first starting out, depending on where this business owner is. Okay, you need to check them out when you're doing your lead generation and figure out they're actually on the platform you're going to outreach. And the key is just making sure your profile is a little bit professional, right? You don't need a business page for you to be reaching out to people from your personal social media, okay? You just do not need pictures of you in a club with loads of people around you looking all slurred. You just don't need that on your Instagram, right? So if you do have a profile like that, that's okay, but it might be best in that position to create a business profile where you can put out more professional content. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be putting out pictures of ads right away. You could just re-upload some of the more professional or safe images from your personal profile onto your business profile. Then make sure in the bio you have a call out to exactly who it is you're working with. I help local businesses scale through Facebook ads. Right? Something like that, depending on the niche you want to work with. Same again for your LinkedIn profile. Now, I imagine your LinkedIn profile isn't going to have pictures of you with bottles in the club on it, right? It's going to be more professional. It's a professional platform. So just make sure, though, in your tagline, you have a call out to who you actually are working with and what you actually do. Now, when we're outreaching people, it's very important, the same with email, that we are very personalized in our outreach. We mention something about their brand, we mention something about their product, we mention something about their service, okay? It is key to getting a response. Now, if you're messaging on LinkedIn or Instagram, go ahead and like a couple of their photos, like a couple of their recent posts, okay? So when you actually message them, subconsciously, their brain will already know your name and they're more likely to open your message. So that's called DMing. I've had a lot of success with it. Our team are continually doing, and actually one of our unicorn clients right now that pays us multiple tens of thousands on a monthly basis came from Instagram DMs. So a very effective strategy, a staple in any new outreach system. Okay, let's move on to a couple of different ones. Starting off with online job sites. And there are two parts to this. There are local job sites, okay, regular recruitment-based job sites, and then there are freelance-based websites. Starting off with local recruitment websites. These are always great places to look out for companies who are actually advertising for the service you're offering. So if you look out there and you look into if you're a web agency, for example, and you go on Reed, for example, which is a great recruitment website in the UK, and you search website developer, you can see all the companies that are looking for a website developer right now. And that's a great opportunity for you to go out there and actually pitch that company and offer them a solution as an agency instead of an employee. Now, there are many benefits, for employing an agency rather than an actual team member, okay? They don't have to pay certain taxes, they don't have to pay holiday pay, sick pay, and all these other headaches that come with working with an employee or employing someone, okay? With an agency, you can cut them off within a certain notice period. Some agencies don't even have notice periods. So this is a great place to look for people that already are looking for your product or your service. Now, the simple way of outreaching them would just be contacting them via whatever method there is or whatever contact details they have on that website. That might be email, that might be phone call. I would recommend calling them up though. It's going to leave a better lasting impression. They're probably going to be getting a lot of emails from candidates anyway. The next place to look for is freelance websites. Okay, we've got websites like Upwork, we have websites like Online Jobs, we've got websites like Freelancer, there's a website as well. Now, I have personally used Upwork before. Now, I did have a little bit of success with Upwork when I first started out. This was about 4 years ago when I've last used Upwork to actually get clients, and I used it to get a couple of different ad clients. Now, Upwork is a website where people will post a job and freelancers will advertise for that job. But what I have found over the years is that more and more people are using these platforms to get clients, more and more agencies, and therefore you get into a bit of a price war. And generally speaking, the quality of work is lower on these websites. And I'm not saying you won't get clients on them, because I'm sure that you will, and they're great places to look, but they are not going to be the best high ticket clients. And you will need to be prepared to be played off against other agencies out there. The same goes for the website Freelancer. So I've used both of these before. I've used freelance websites and I've used actual recruitment websites, and I've success with both, and I've signed up clients on both. But I've never really found them as sustainable long-term models for getting outreach. I would more see these as beneficial if you're checking maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. This is like a little backup, a little booster for your overarching strategy. You're like, oh, look at that person advertising. Let me reach out to them. But don't use this as your bread and butter. Just use it as something you check sporadically. Now, another outreach method that I've used is networking. And I get a lot of online entrepreneurs, I hear them saying all the time that networking is a waste of time when you're first starting out. And I actually couldn't disagree more. Networking was invaluable to me when I first had started my agency. In fact, like my third client I signed up from a networking event. Actually, my first client took me to this networking event. When I was in a meeting with them, having a catch up about their ads, this is a restaurant, she said to me, "And Jordan, why don't you come along to this networking brunch I'm going to?" So I went to this brunch, I felt really uncomfortable, but she introduced me to everybody at this brunch. She introduced me to loads of other business owners. And I met the owner of a jewelry store in my local area. They built these beautiful, like handmade engagement rings and necklaces. Just an absolutely beautiful brand. And I started working with them running their ads, but I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for this networking event and the pre-sale that I got from my existing client who took me there. Now, I met all these local business owners, and all of a sudden I was an authority. They trusted me because I was there rubbing elbows with them. I was sitting with them side by side, having normal conversation about their day, their week, their business, and then moving on to what I actually did. And even if you don't sign up lots of clients directly from the networking events you go to in your local area, those people that you speak to and you build relationships with are people that might know somebody else, okay? Business owners like to hang around with other business owners, and so you might get referrals from those networking events. Now, granted, I didn't actually keep this up for a very long time because I scaled my agency very quickly, and it's just something I no longer could find time to do. But I would always recommend new start agency owners looking for local networking groups in their area because they are invaluable. They're a great way to build authority, especially if you're starting local, as you should as a new start agency owner. Now, alongside this, I've had tremendous success through meeting people at speaking events that I've done. And actually, you'll be surprised how relatively easy it is to get speaking gigs at small events in your area, but also at larger events once you build a bit of a personal brand up, which is something I'll come on to in a moment. If you can get speaking events and if you can speak about an individual topic surrounding your service for a specific niche, this is a great way to build authority. And then often these events have networking groups afterwards where you can then go and speak to people. And I actually built an incredible relationship with a lady who ran a lot of big London universities. Now, unfortunately, I never really followed up this lead, but looking back on it, it would have been a great opportunity for me to get in through the education industry and potentially offer a service there. But I've made some really great connections who I've stayed friends with, who I engage with on social media, and if I ever need to pull up that connection, I'll be able to do so. But I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for me investing the time in networking in the early stages of my agency. And I'm very much a believer of human beings should help each other out. And if we have the opportunity, when we speak to someone face to face, I'm gonna help them out. If I bump into somebody from my YouTube, I'm gonna help them out. You come and see me, you say, Jordan, I'm really struggling with this. You bump into me, then I'm not gonna say to you, hey, cool, buy this, buy that, and you need this coaching. I'm gonna answer that question. And that's, I think, a problem with the online education industry right now, is a lot of us feel like we can't ask for help from people. But actually, if you go speak to other business owners who aren't in the online hemisphere, who aren't kind of toxified by the space that is influencer, right? You'll be surprised how many people are willing to give a helping hand to a complete stranger, just based on the fact that that person has a mutual respect for their company and that person is also trying to be successful themselves. So go build some relationships. It's invaluable. The next thing that I just touched on is personal branding. This is something that I'm a huge advocate of, obviously. And I'm not saying you need a personal brand with hundreds of thousands of followers. Okay, anybody can start a personal brand. Everybody has a personal brand. A personal brand is simply taking ownership of the perception we have online. Okay, if you've got a Facebook profile, you've got an Instagram profile, you have a personal brand. Okay, but you need to take ownership of that and actually understand that we can control the perception of everybody around us based on the content we put out online and based on the things we say. So if you're starting an agency and you're starting to gain knowledge around a specific service, if you start putting content out on social media around that service and you start educating your potential customers, you're going to be perceived as an expert in that area. And therefore, you're going to be able to attract inbound clients to your business. I would recommend everybody doing this, even on a micro level. Just adapt to your personal Instagram and start putting out things about your business, right? Start sharing interesting articles, okay? Even you could create a Facebook group for people in your niche and you could start sharing content that way. It's a great way to build a community without needing to invest an absolute ton of time, without needing to upload videos on YouTube every single week. But so you don't need to build a big brand, just to summarize. You just need to be conscious of the content you're putting out there, and any agency can start leveraging that. I'd highly recommend you doing so if you're not already. Now, the final method I want to touch on today, and by the way, I'm sure there are loads of others that I haven't mentioned. If there are some, drop a comment down below. You can use that as your entry to the ongoing competition. I'm just talking about the ones that I've personally used and had experience with, both present and in the past. Final one is paid ads. Okay, now paid ads are a great way to generate inbound leads for your agency, okay? But you really need to have some results to stand above your competitors. I wouldn't recommend you running paid ads as an agency owner unless you have existing case studies, existing testimonials, and existing clients, okay? You can create a really nice landing page with a case study video running through some results and a little bit about what you do differently. You need a nice offer within that. And then you can have your application form. But if you don't have results and if you don't have something to actually talk about, you're probably just going to be wasting your money. Another thing that I think a lot of agencies grossly underestimate, is the cost of acquiring a customer through paid ads. You can expect to pay at least $100 to $200 per lead as an agency owner running ads, minimum of $50. But those leads aren't all going to convert. You might even spend upwards of $1,000 to acquire a customer for your agency through paid ads, but we have to look at this through lifetime value. If you're charging someone $2,000 a month over the course of 6 months when they might stay with you, or even 12 months depending on how long you keep your customers for, that is what you need to assess, okay? You don't necessarily need to break even, or you even won't necessarily break even on the front end of a paid ad strategy for an established ads agency offering a high ticket service. So just bear that in mind and only really consider paid ads if you are an established agency. Now, if you want our full ad strategy, if you want to get access to our case study, we have that inside the Affluent Academy. You can copy and paste that through optimization over years and years and years. We're actually releasing a brand new case study very, very soon, which will be included in the Academy. Link in the description. Now, a couple of final messages I want to leave you with before we end this video today is, first of all, what I've already mentioned, follow a multi-platform strategy when you're first starting out, okay? Do not just use email, do not just cold call, do not just DM. Hit people from all angles, and you're just going to become a well-rounded salesperson. You're going to understand how to communicate people on multi-levels, okay? And that's just going to make you a better business owner overall. And you're going to squeeze more yeses or nos out of your potential customers. Now, when you're more established and you find something that really works, and if you're predictably getting clients on repeat through 1 or 2 different strategies, then just stick with that. For example, with us guys right now, of course, we've got a personal brand and all of that knock-on stuff, but our main cold outreach strategy is emails and DMs because we're reaching out to e-commerce-based businesses. Now, e-commerce-based businesses have call centers. There's no point calling them up. You're never going to get a hold of the business owner, right? Sometimes you may, okay? You could try, but we have found that for us, email and DM is working really, really well. But that doesn't mean that's what's going to work for you. We have optimized that strategy over time based on what we are good at, based on the script that we use, based on the follow-up system that we have, and based on the fact we have some really great case studies and we have a niche that works for, okay? But when you're first starting, you need to follow as much of a broad strategy as you possibly can until you understand what you are good at and what works for you. Trust me on that one. Now, one final thing that I just mentioned that's reminded me is follow-ups. We have to follow up on every single lead. You can't just send one email and set and forget. You have to follow up at least 4 or 5 times, in my opinion. Same with cold calls. If you can't reach someone on a Monday, call them back on a Wednesday. Call them back again on the Friday. Keep getting a hold of someone and hammering them until you actually speak to them and set a meeting with them. Same for DMs. Every single method that I've mentioned today requires a consistent follow-up strategy. And ultimately, that's what sales really boils down to. Consistency. Stay consistent with your targets, stay consistent with your outreach, stay consistent with a script. Sure, you can adapt things over time, but if you are using a system that has been proven to work time and time again for thousands of different people all over the world, like ours in the Affluent Academy, then stick to it, okay? Don't chop and change between different scripts. Stick to something that has been proven to work and be consistent with your outreach. Sweet, that's it from me. Enter the competition. Any questions, drop them down below, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers, guys.